Welcome, everybody. I'm Laura Valenti. I'm the Assistant Dean at the Graduate School, and I am going to talk to you a bit about an overview of the graduate student orientation, and then we're going to have different folks speak to you and cover a number of different activities. I'm going to start with a few sort of housekeeping issues. The first is, as Ms. Hagan just said, this is being recorded, so we want to let you know that. Also, we are going to do our best to have time for questions and answers at the end of the orientation. There are, at this point, 215 of you, and so it's possible that questions could become a little overwhelming, but we'll do our best to answer those, especially those that apply to the largest number of people. But I want to assure you that at the end, after this is over, you are absolutely free to email us with any questions you have. We're going to be giving you 2 general email addresses that you can use anytime to get information. And we'll also be giving you the individual email addresses of the professional staff that's here to meet with you today, that you're going to hear from. And we absolutely want to hear your questions, anything that we don't get to today, okay? And I'm looking at the numbers, we're up to 219 now. So I do have a feeling that Q&A could become unwieldy at some point. I do want to ask that everybody stay muted through the presentation. We know that all of you have lives and may have barking dogs or crying babies or different things, alarms that may be going off. And so to not be a distraction to everybody else, if you could remain muted, that would be great. Later on during the Q&A, if we need to hear from somebody, then of course we'll say, please unmute yourself, and we're happy to hear from you at that point. When it is time to ask questions, whether you're doing it out loud or in the chat, this isn't the time for very personal questions, like, my financial aid hasn't come through, or can I get a loan, that sort of thing. That's the kind of stuff that we will either answer for you one-on-one or refer you to the office that can answer that one-on-one. I also want to let you know that this presentation that you're about to see, the PowerPoint, is going to be emailed to you, and it's going to be available to you in a Canvas course, the graduate student, new student orientation Canvas course with various modules, but this will be available in that, and we'll also send it as an attachment. So you don't need to write down everything that you're going to be seeing on the screen. You're going to get that in writing. And also, when you get it, anything that you're seeing here that's a link, it will be a live link when you get it. So to different offices, campus resources, whether it's the Counseling and Psychological Services or the Writing Excellence Center or whatever it might be, you'll get live links for that. You will get, as I said, all the email addresses for the different people that you need and that kind of thing. So feel free to take your own notes, but you don't need to copy down what's actually on the screen. And then the last thing I'm going to say isn't part of this housekeeping piece, but somebody mentioned it at our doctoral orientation yesterday, and I thought it was useful, and so I'm just going to throw it out there because it's not part of the presentation, unless Susan had time to add it somewhere today. And that is that for the rest of your time here at Montclair State, from now until after graduation, we are going to communicate with you through your Montclair email address. And so while you may very well be used to communicating only through your personal email address, please know we are going to use your Montclair address for a lot of announcements, et cetera, and so will your academic department, faculty members, et cetera. Should you choose to forward your Montclair address to your personal email address so that you get them there, that's up to you. But you need to make sure that you are regularly having access to the Montclair email address.
Yes,
Okay.
I did add it to the presentation.
You did add it. Okay, so
Yes.
there you are. I wasn't sure since we had only talked about it last night, but I should have known. On top of everything. So you're gonna hear from all of the staff in a few minutes. So moving on to the official start of the presentation. So again, I'm the assistant dean at the graduate school, and I am joined by my professional team. Together we make up the student affairs team, along with several graduate assistants that each have a specialty area in student affairs. That's Susan Hagan, Debbie Reynoso, and Karen Ferrante. She is here also. So I just want to give you a little bit of an overview to say that the graduate school at Montclair State exists obviously as a primary, with a primary foundation of giving you the best graduate education we could possibly give you. But more than that, we exist to create well-rounded individuals who are prepared to take on complex issues and challenges in the society and the world around them. We don't want you just to excel in one specific sort of narrow academic field and not develop all of the other kinds of things that are needed for success in the world. And so we are going to be creating programs and services and offering them to you that will assist in overall student success. And we do that through a number of different ways, but primarily by coordinating graduate education here at Montclair State. And our structure can be a little bit confusing until you sort of get used to it. It's a little bit of a gray area. You will have an academic home in your academic department, which is associated with a specific school or college here. So the College of Science and Math, the College of Education and Human Services, etc. While each of those colleges and schools exists on the campus and together make up the university, graduate education itself, separate and apart from undergraduate education, is coordinated by the graduate school. So your particular academic program and courses will be led primarily by the program within that college or school. Academic policies, processes, services, overall minimum requirements, all of those kinds of things, that's going to be handled by the graduate school. And we're going to talk more about all the specific ways that we do that. Some of this is by us providing leadership to the graduate programs themselves and assisting them in lots of ways. They contact us and say, do we do it this way, or how do we do that, or we have an idea, how can we make that happen? We certainly foster high quality educational programs. So from admission, you guys all just finished your admission process, and you know that you worked through the graduate school for admission. So everything from whether it's test scores and letters of reference, that sort of thing, from admission all the way up to us being the ones that check for meeting minimum grade requirements, GPAs, etc., all the way through commencement, where we are doing final checks and audits to make sure that you've completed all of your requirements. We make sure that high academic standards are met. We also, as programs want to add things, change things, et cetera, to their programs, we make sure that anything that's happening at the program level comports with the university's overall mission. And we make sure that that's happening. And then the final thing that I'll say here is that the graduate school also has a commitment not only to providing high quality programs and services, but providing those programs and services to a diverse student body. That is part of who we are, and we won't divorce it or disengage it from the things that we do. Inclusivity is going to always be at the forefront of what we do. Okay. And so we do here at the graduate school and student affairs specifically, which we're really focusing on today, the student support and engagement piece of things. We take you from orientation all the way through commencement and everything that happens to you in between. So enrollment issues, how many credits you're taking, overloads and underloads, and you're going to hear all about those kinds of things, academic standings, all kinds of grievances, appeals, special circumstances, whatever's happening to you in your life. You're ill, somebody in your family is ill, you're getting a divorce, and you can't concentrate right now, whatever it's happening. We are the place that you can come to start with, so that we can figure out how to best support you through all of those kinds of things. We also oversee the Honor Society, the Dean's Advisory Board, which as of yesterday is going to have a different name. And it's going to be the Graduate Student Advisory Board, to show that it's really graduate students who are doing the advising. And so those are some of the ways that student affairs will be working with you throughout your time here. We're going to do introductions now. I'm going to start with Dr. Scott Herness, who can't be with us today. He's on a very well-earned vacation, but he leads a team of very highly educated, trained, and expert professionals here at the graduate school, and he is going to talk to you himself through a video that we have.
Hello, my name is Dr. Scott Herness, and I'm the Vice Provost for Research and Dean of the Graduate School here at Montclair State. And it's my great pleasure to congratulate you on becoming a graduate student and to welcome you to our campus. We're so pleased to have you here, and I know that you're going to enjoy your time here at Montclair State. Now, this will be a different semester for sure, just as every semester since the pandemic has started has been different. But I want you to know that this is a very safe environment, and we have a very high vaccination rate among our faculty, staff, and students. And I applaud you for your confidence in pursuing graduate education under these unprecedented times. Today, you're going to hear about resources that are available to you as a graduate student, but I want you to know the most important resource that you have, and that is the graduate school. The graduate school is the #1 advocate for graduate students on our campus. We're here to serve you from the first day of your first class until the day you receive your diploma. And when that day comes, it's my hope that circumstances will allow me to personally hand you your diploma on stage at our commencement ceremony. So thank you for choosing Montclair State. I know you've worked hard to get here. I know you're going to work hard while you're here. And I know that we are going to take a lot of pride in the accomplishments you make after you leave here. I have every confidence in your success, and I look forward to seeing you on campus. Thank you.
As I mentioned to the folks at yesterday's orientation, just know that you will see Dean Herness around. It is absolutely possible for you to avail yourself of all of the leadership members here at the graduate school. Nobody is invisible. Nobody sees themselves as being sort of locked away in an ivory tower. We want to have relationships with our graduate students, so don't hesitate to make yourselves known to us. I do want to also mention Dr. Nellie Lecter-Morales. She is the Associate Dean here at the graduate school. She can't be with us today. Dr. Morales wears a number of different hats here at the graduate school. She is involved primarily with things like curriculum development, new programs and things like that, with the online programs here at the campus, and certainly handles many different special projects, etc. And then she does a lot of work with students in their doctoral candidacy. So if any of you are thinking of going on to your doctorate here at MSU, you would eventually work closely with Dr. Lecter-Morales. And then there's me. As I said, Assistant Dean for Graduate Student Affairs. And I do a lot of things. Lots of times what I'm doing is when something comes to student affairs in general and it can't be handled at a different level or by somebody else because of the complexity or the special exception that it requires or something like that, that will land on my desk. If a new policy needs to be developed or an old policy needs to be revised, that is something that I would handle. Student grievances and appeals come to me. So if you feel something is wrong, you've been treated unfairly, or you've received some academic action, you're on probation and you want to appeal that, all of those kinds of things come past my desk. Also the liaison very often between students and the academic programs. So there are times where a student, when a student might feel that they can't themselves resolve the problem with the academic department for maybe certain sensitive reasons or something like that. The graduate school will act as appropriate as a liaison and sometimes actually as an advocate for the student. And so that's generally something that falls to me as well. And then, as I quickly mentioned earlier, extenuating circumstances. So I deal almost every day. You can ask my staff. I deal almost every day with students who are in some special circumstances. They are stuck in another country and they can't get a visa. They don't meet certain qualifications for something exactly, and they need some sort of exception. Whatever it might be. But I am the person who will help shepherd somebody through or navigate through the processes that are involved with special or extenuating circumstances. Okay.
Hi, I'm Deborah Reynoso. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Success. I'm responsible for the management of graduate students' academic progress. I conduct the academic standing review throughout the academic year, and we'll be discussing the academic policies later on in this presentation. I also process students' requests, such as change of concentrations. So if you're in a program that has a couple of options, like of which concentration to choose from, if you want to, change your concentration, I'm in charge of that. Also, extension of matriculation. Everyone has a time limit to complete their program, and we'll go over the matriculation time later on in the presentation. So if you need more time to complete your program, you have to make a request for that. Also, course overload. Graduate students are allowed to enroll in 16 credits for a semester. And if you're a grad assistant, 12 credits you're allowed to register for. So if you need to register for more credits than that, you would have to fill out a form and petition for that as well. I also handle the reclassification of students. Some of you may have been accepted into your program on a conditional or deferred basis, and you have to complete certain requirements in order to be fully accepted into your program. So once you met those requirements, you will fill out a petition of reclassification. It'll go to your department, they'll review it, and then they will fully accept you into your program. All these forms could be found on our graduate website, but if you have any questions about it or need any assistance, you could always reach out to me. I also evaluate and approve master's thesis application and course registration. I certify the completed theses according to the Graduate Council policy, and then I forward them over to the Sprague Library so they could be uploaded to Digital Commons. I'm also here to lend student support. So if you're having an issue and not sure where to go or what to do, I can assist you with that. Sometimes you may have an issue with something and not too sure like what office might handle it. You could just reach out to me, let me know what your issue is, and I'll connect you with the appropriate services here on campus. I also serve on the care team at MSU. This is a team made up of administrators. We meet regularly to evaluate concerning behaviors of our students and the best way that we can address each student's needs. These students are referred to us by faculty, staff, or by other students. So you can refer a student to us if you're concerned about a behavior of one of your fellow classmates. And some examples of the issues that you might contact the care team about is mental health issues, an eating disorder, substance abuse, or addiction. So you could just reach out to us, or actually there is a form that you could fill out. But if you are concerned, again, please reach out to me. And if you need any assistance or have any questions with any of these areas during your time here at MSU, just contact me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen Ferranti. I am the Graduate Student Assistance Coordinator here in the Graduate School. I oversee the Graduate Assistantship Program. So I take all of the recommendations and appointments, keep them into the system. I'm the person who is sending out your offers and accepting them back and appointing you as an assistant. I then go ahead and hire all of the GAs in Workday and oversee that your tuition remission is applied to your account. We do have a separate orientation for all of our DAs and GAs, and that's going to be Friday at 12. And I have seen several of you who are GAs, and I hope that you will be there on Friday. Newly admitted students or GAs, it's a mandatory meeting, but we do invite all of our GAs because there's always new information and we just like seeing you there. I oversee the compliance of the terms and policy manual, making sure that faculty and students are following the guidelines that we have in place. And I am there to support and assist students and faculty with any issues on the assistantship program. So if you have an issue or you have a question, you should definitely be reaching out to me. If it's tuition, don't write to student accounts. Write directly to me because they won't be able to really help you. It has to come from me. I also oversee Alpha Epsilon Lambda, and that is our Graduate School Honor Society. It is by invitation. Each semester we evaluate the grades of each college. So for instance, the College of Education, we take those GPAs and we find out what is the top 10%. And those students will be invited to join AEL. Now, just so you have an idea, this is very competitive. Most of the time, we have a GPA that's well over 3.9. So just keep that in mind. It works differently than undergrad. This is by invitation. You would get a letter, an email with a letter and application. So if you have questions about that, you can email me as well. So welcome, glad to see you here, and any GAs, I'll see you Friday.
Excuse me, I have a question.
If it's about GAs, can we hold it to the end, please?
Yeah, that's not a problem, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Susan Hagan. I'm the Enrollment Activities Coordinator. I facilitate enrollment activities across all of the colleges at the university. That includes doing outreach about enrollment to continuing students, overseeing our continuous matriculation policy, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I also process leave of absence requests. So if there comes a time in the course of your time here with us in the program that you need to take a semester off, we have a process for that where you can request a leave of absence. I also oversee program withdrawals. So sometimes students ultimately decide that the program is not for them, and they ultimately withdraw from the university, from the program entirely. I assist with the coordination of events such as this orientation, our commencement ceremonies, and the graduate development workshop series that we offer online and in person. Hopefully some sessions will be in person this semester. So you'll want to keep an eye on your email for those opportunities. We offer multiple things ranging from health and wellness to time management, budgeting, resume writing, those kinds of things. So all kinds of workshops to help support you throughout your time in the program. And then I also help coordinate what I understand is now called the Graduate Student Advisory Board, not the Dean's Advisory Board. So more information about that and the new format of that will be coming shortly. So you can keep an eye out for that. I also want to make you aware of some very important frontline staff here in the graduate school, our graduate student services specialists. They are the team that oversee the main phone line and our main email address, which you see listed there. They also are at the front desk if you come into the office, or they are there behind the scenes assisting student workers who might be at the front desk. So just know that when you reach out to the graduate school during regular business hours, you will be responded to quickly. The phone does get answered, emails are answered, and they can help direct you to the appropriate person in the graduate school or elsewhere on the campus with to help resolve your questions and concerns. Some other very important people that you'll get to know as part of your program are your graduate program coordinators. These are generally faculty members within the academic department who oversee and coordinate various aspects of the program. So some of you may have met this person through the admissions process. They also oversee advising and mentoring. They are the ones who know what course offerings are being available each semester, how to structure your time in the program based on when courses are offered. Sometimes there might be a need for a program modification, so you might need to take a course and substitute it for something else in the program. They oversee culminating experiences and internships, anything like that that you might have as part of your final process in your degree. And then also just know that in the department of your program, there are probably other folks who are available to you as well, such as department administrators or program associates who can assist with advising questions. And your advisor should be notated on your DegreeWorks audit. So if you have any specific questions about who that person is, if you don't see a name listed, you can contact the department for more information about who your advisor is and how to reach them. And Laura is next. Did we lose Laura?
I was muted. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I was chatting and you were not hearing me. Okay. Sorry. The first week of school, you're going to get an electronic version of the graduate school manual. And it's thick and it has lots and lots of policies and information, everything from admissions and enrollment policies and requirements to commencement policies, etc. Some of which you no longer need to know, some of which you won't need to know for 2 or 3 years. So I'm going to just go over just a couple things that are really important for you to know right from your first day of school. And so I'm going to first go over academic integrity. And I want to say that the whole concept of academic integrity is founded on a number of different principles or values. And some of them seem very straightforward: honesty and trust and fairness, etc. Also respect. Respect for other people, for other people's work, for your faculty members. Responsibility, because it's your responsibility to prepare well and plan well for the work that's expected of you and not to take shortcuts. And courage. And why courage? Because to maintain academic integrity at all times, it might take courage to say no to somebody who is either asking for or offering unfair assistance. And it also might mean the courage to not do as well on an assignment as you would hope to do if you don't take that unfair advantage. And so sometimes that can be scary. And so your personal integrity needs to mean more than a short-term success. And why is that the case? You're part of a scholarly community now. The number of people who get college degrees in America is the minority, and the number of people who go on to graduate work is even a much, much smaller number. And so you're special in that way, and that privilege also comes with this responsibility as a member of a scholarly community, and the understanding of the work that other people put into their success. And when colleges and universities, whoever that was, needs to mute. Sorry. So if you are part of a college or a university that lives the idea of fairness and integrity and honesty, you will bring that to the rest of society. You will bring that value to your work world. And whether you become a social worker or an accountant, integrity and honesty is going to be critically important, and you will become a role model in your field. And so it just helps to create a much stronger civic society and culture. So that's the why of academic integrity. Now, the what, the academic misconduct, what gets you into trouble. And everybody thinks of the obvious, the cheating, looking over at somebody else's paper when you're in a test, writing an answer on the palm of your hand or something like that, or plagiarizing a paragraph or a page or something from somebody else's work and not giving citations. Those are all examples, certainly, of academic misconduct, but it's broader than that, and I want to make sure that you understand that, because we will hold you accountable. And how can we hold you accountable if we don't tell you what we expect you not to do? And so it is any attempt to gain that unfair advantage that I talked about. So whether you're trying to gain that unfair advantage for yourself or for somebody else, so that not only the taking of information, but the giving of information, both of those are academic misconduct. And beyond those very obvious examples, things like the violation of course rules. So even if it's not something that is in the code of conduct as a rule for every single person on campus, if it's a rule for your course in the syllabus, where your faculty member says, for this assignment, you can use your book. For that assignment, you can't use your book. Then that, if you use your book for that other assignment, that's a violation of the academic integrity policy. So I don't want to go through each of these. I'd really like you to read some of these, but just remember that it involves all the work that you do, whether it's a written assignment, a lab, clinical work, field work, signing somebody's name to something that you shouldn't sign their name to, anything like that. Those are going to all be examples of it. And the last thing that I'm going to say is that in terms of what's considered plagiarism, some students come to, certainly to college, and a few to grad school, with the idea that if you change a few words in a quote, then you don't have to give a citation because it's not a word for word quotation. Please understand that if you use someone's idea, you must give them credit. And many of you are going to be working very hard on research. You're going to be doing a thesis, or you're going to be doing a capstone project where you put lots of effort in. Well, all of the folks that have published work, they put in that level of work too, and you need to respect that. So if you take somebody's idea, even if it's not a word for word quote, you need to make sure you're giving them credit. Okay, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's really important that you understand right from the beginning that you are a member of this academic community now, and then we have really high expectations and high hopes for you. Okay. Which sort of leads then to academic standing, and that this is the other policy that I want to make sure that I cover. The most important thing that I want to tell you about is that there is a GPA requirement for master's and certificate students. You must maintain a minimum 3.0 GPA. There are no D's in graduate school. Anything lower than a C- is an F. And you cannot graduate with anything less than a 3.0 in your program, okay? If you drop below a 3.0 at some point during your program, you are going to be placed on probation. You will be given a specific amount of time and a specific amount of credits by which you need to bring your cumulative GPA back up to a 3.0. If you fail to do so in that time frame and by that many credits, then you would be dismissed from the program. Now, I do want to say that we always allow appeals because, as I said, we're aware that you're people and that there can be special circumstances, and appeals of dismissals come to me, and I work with your program and with whatever documentation you might have to see if there's a reason why we might extend your probation for one more semester if there were serious extenuating circumstances. But by and large, it's 1 semester under a 3.0 probation, 2 semesters under a 3.0, and that would be dismissal. Now, right now we have on the books also certain grade requirements. And I say right now because I'm in the process of working on changing this, and I'm looking to work with what's called the Graduate Council. That's a faculty body, to see if I can change it. And if I do, all graduate students will be notified. But right now, the rule is that you cannot get more than 2 C or lower grades. So that means C+, C, C-, or F. You can't get more than 6 credits worth. We used to say 2, but we've got courses now that are only 1.5 credits. So 6 credits of C or F grades are all that's permitted right now. Okay, and the same sort of thing would happen probation and then dismissal. Okay, so that's academic standing. We can go. Yeah, I went over that, so we can go to the next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so certification programs have the same 3.0 requirement, except for the school counselor and the substance awareness coordinator. So make sure you're working with your own program to understand the specifics within those specific certifications. And then for certificate, and there is a difference, took me a little while here, there is a difference between certificate programs and certification programs. So what I just mentioned were certification programs. This is certificate and non-degree programs. By and large, except for a couple of programs, that's a 2.5 minimum GPA. All right. And then the exceptions to that are advanced counseling and certified alcohol and drug counselor. So again, work with your program to understand the specifics if these apply to you. Oh, and the paralegals, I'm sorry, yes, and the paralegal studies certificate program. Again, that one's a 2.75, but work with your program to get the details for that one.
Okay.
And I'm going to turn it back over to Susan.
Yes. So we do have a continuous matriculation requirement, which applies to all students in master's certification and certificate programs. And basically what that means is that you need to be continuously enrolled every fall and spring semester for the entirety of your program. So what that means is you either need to be registered for a credit-bearing course that's required in your program. You need to register for what we call our placeholder course if you're not able to take a credit-bearing course in a semester for some reason. Or you could request a leave of absence up to 2 times during the entirety of your program. There are exceptions to the leave of absence 2-time requirement minimum if you those are for pregnancy or military deployment. So ultimately, if you were to become pregnant during your time in the program, you can take up to a year off. And you can do that more than 1 time throughout the course of your program. Same with military deployment. If you're deployed, you would just let us know the information about your deployment, and we would adjust your time of return accordingly based on when you'll be back. So what happens is if you don't take action in a fall or a spring semester, you will, if it happens once, you will receive a hold, and there's a fee to remove the hold. After 2 semesters of non-action, we haven't heard from you, you haven't registered for a class or for the placeholder course, you haven't requested leave of absence. If that happens 2 semesters in a row, your matriculation will be closed and you would need to reapply to the program should you decide to come back and finish the program. So just be aware of that. We really just want you to keep in touch with us and let us know what you're doing, and that you haven't fallen off the planet, basically. So just keep that in mind. Along with that, there are time limits for program completion. So for master's degree programs, the typical timeline is 6 years. For certification programs, it's 5 years. And for certificate programs, it's 3 years. So during that course of time, if you take a leave of absence for a semester or two, the clock stops on your time limit. So that semester would not count towards your 6-year time limit, let's say. However, if you do register for the placeholder course, that does count towards your time limit. So you just need to be aware as you start your program and as you start to plan things out with your advisors, figuring out if you're taking classes part-time or full-time, that you do have a time limit. We do also have, there is an option to request an extension of your matriculation, which we would grant under some extenuating circumstances. So if that if you get to the point where you're not finishing on time, you would just let us know and we would work with you and your department to figure out a plan for your completion. All of the graduate programs require some type of culminating experience towards the end of the program. So you should be in touch with your graduate program coordinator and or your advisor to determine what kind of culminating experience your program requires. That can be a thesis, it can be a capstone type course, it can be a practicum or an internship, or it could also be a departmental comprehensive exam. So you just want to know that information in advance, so as you're planning your time in the program, you can start to prepare for those things that you'll have to do towards the end. So we're going to go over a few of the campus resources. Again, this presentation will be emailed to you tomorrow, and all of the links are live. So when you get it, you'll be able to click through and access any of this information directly from our website. But we did want to start with the counseling and psychological services and just this short introductory video about their offerings.
Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Sudha Wadwani and I'm the staff psychologist here at CAPS, Counseling and Psychological Services. So let me tell you a little bit about what we offer. We have individual short-term therapy where you can call our front desk at 973-655-5211 and you would be scheduled with a counselor for an initial phone appointment. We also have a referral coordinator that can help you find a therapist in your area if that's something that might work best for you. Let me tell you a little bit about our other services as well. We have a part-time psychiatrist on staff. I mentioned our referral coordinator. We have a program called Protocol with counselors that provide support after hours and in emergencies. And also, I want to let you know about a program called Chow Connect. That is our therapy-assisted online program. You can check it out on our website. We list all of our modules. What you do is you log on with your Montclair State email and you can check out all of our self-help resources for a variety of issues that you may have. In addition, we have a program called Let's Talk. Let's Talk is actually, it's meant for busy people and it's meant to increase access to support. We offer 9 different times, each 90-minute blocks through the week, Monday through Friday. And each day, Monday through Thursday, we will have one in person and one virtually through Zoom. So I want you to know that we have a variety of resources available to you, and we understand that you have a lot going on and want you to know that we are here for you. So take care and have a wonderful year.
So moving on, we have the Center for Academic Success and Tutoring, which offers tutoring and supplemental instruction and learning support for students in collaboration with the academic and administrative departments. And I wanted to mention also, all of these services are free to students, including the counseling and psychological services. They're, I'm sure, part of your tuition and fees. So just know that you can go to any of these places and there wouldn't be any extra charges for that. The Center for Writing Excellence is available to all students, faculty, staff, and alumni, and you can schedule sessions with writing consultants in person or online, and they will help with all aspects of the writing process. So we highly encourage you to visit the CWE during your time here in the program, just to get some extra support with your writing. The Disability Resource Center is available to students and helps students receive accommodations and services that are necessary to equalize access for any physical, sensory, learning, psychological, neurological, or chronic medical disabilities that a student may have. So if you need any accommodations in your classes, you would get in touch with the Disability Resource Center. For our international students, the Office of Global Engagement offers a variety of services, including information and rules related to F1 and J1 visa status. They offer an international student orientation as well, and provide employment and immigration workshop opportunities and cultural and social activities. Red Hawk Central is the main department that oversees all of financial aid, the registrar's office, and student accounts. So if you are having trouble in or questions about anything in those areas, you would contact Red Hawk Central, and they get your question and concern to the right office and help resolve the problem and help you get an answer. Our University Health Center, also free to students, is a comprehensive outpatient healthcare facility. They oversee the submission of all immunization requirements. So the link here on this slide will get you to the page where you can, to the My Health portal, where you can submit any outstanding immunization requirements you still need to provide. They also oversee the health insurance program. So any student who is registered for 9 credits or more, you're automatically enrolled in the university's health insurance policy. This can be waived if you have your own health insurance. And I believe the deadline to request the waiver for the fall semester is September 30th. So if you are in that situation where you have your own health insurance and you don't need the university's plan, you would follow the link here to the website and you can find the form that you need to fill out, which would be due by September 30th. So one last thing, some action items for you as you get started next week. Canvas is the university's learning management system. It's similar to Blackboard or Web Study if you've used either of those systems at other institutions. This is where your instructors will publish all of the course materials, their syllabi, where they create assignments and foster interaction between students. So the link here provides some tutorials for students if you're not familiar with Canvas. And like we mentioned earlier, we have created an orientation course in Canvas where we will post the copy of this recording, the slides, and then there's a whole host of other information and modules on different things that will be helpful to you in the coming weeks as you're getting started and getting acclimated to being here at the university. A word on course modalities. This link will take you to the page where it outlines all the various ways that courses are being offered on campus. So you want to make sure that when you are looking at your schedule in Nest that you note what the modality is. Some courses are fully face-to-face, traditional format. Some are offered in hybrid fashion. And then we do have courses that are offered fully online, either in a synchronous setting such as this, where you would log in at a specific time each week and you would interact over Zoom, or in an asynchronous fashion where you're working mostly on your own, submitting assignments as the timeline is presented to you, and you would do that through accessing your course through Canvas. As Dr. Valenti mentioned earlier, you need to set up your MSU email account if you haven't already done that. The link here provides access to the website where you can do that. And you need to be very diligent about checking your MSU email account, because that is how the university, all offices, will communicate with you. Parking services, if you're planning to come to campus, if your classes are more than once a week, you might want to look into getting a parking permit. Some students, if they're only coming once a week, it might be cheaper just to pay per visit. But you can take a look at the parking services and assess what's best for you based on your schedule. And then finally, you will need a student ID card. And my understanding is that that is all being handled through online. You would submit your own photograph. They aren't taking pictures in the office. So you can click on that link to find the information about how to get your ID card created and mailed to you. I think that's everything. So I'm going to open up the chat now. So if you have questions, you can post them in the chat, or you can raise your hand. We can try to manage both the chat and any questions that people want to ask.